Polite rose to fame by selling bogus scam courses where he claimed that he had the magic mystical key to circumvent American law by quote unquote correcting your status. Now, this is part of that sovereign citizen garbage that marginally intelligent, woefully uninformed people fall for. If you don't like the laws, well, don't worry. He's got some super secret handshake that can help you circumvent that. I want to play some audio for you here. It's from another new YouTube channel. I can't pronounce the name, but Nehisi Aha. Let me just leave it there. Just giving credit where credit is due. You can hear for yourselves as he attempts to explain for you all what status correction is. And all I can say here is that if you are even marginally literate, it isn't that you don't understand. It's not because you don't understand you're ignorant. When somebody's running a scam, when somebody's trying to fool you, they throw a lot of words at you. They throw this wall of words at you that collide and crash into each other. A bunch of jargon. Look it up. A bunch of specific language to a specific genre, but not layman speak. So when he was asked about this, you can hear what he said for himself.
That I popularized the term. This thing is, people took it, did what they want with it, fucked it up, and everyone's asking me, yo, which one is yours? This is crazy. When I say this, and this is verbatim, and I say this all the time, your status correction ascertains your political legal disposition, your limited commercial capacity, as well as your genetic reference as it relates to your nationality. There's three different things, or three key exponents that.
What the hell did he just say? What in the hell was that? Political legal disposition. What the hell was that? Can someone decipher that gobbledygook? What the hell was that? Yeah, it's supposed to make perfect sense, right? Well, it should make perfect sense if it actually does make any sense at all. At least it should.
All the time, your status correction ascertains your political legal disposition, your limited commercial capacity, as well as your genetic reference as it relates to your nationality. There's three different things.
And I promise I won't do a bunch of stopping here tonight, I promise. But when you have somebody who doesn't really understand things very well, or they're passing off a fraud, that's something to understand there. I want to play that one more time.
All the time, your status correction ascertains your political legal disposition, your limited commercial capacity, as well as your genetic reference as it relates to your nationality. There's three different things, or three key exponents that status correction can ascertain. And status correction can be broken down into 9 different portents.
Now, the word ascertain means to find out for certain. I don't think he knows what that word means, but okay. I think the way you're trying to apply it here, I really don't think it applies this way, but go ahead.
Okay, which is inclusive of a trust, one of which you would more likely be funding. And it is personalized. And you will not find trusts that are personalized. Other companies will have you fund their trust. These are things that, first of all, why people should read the lessons so they can get acclimated to the terminology, so they can be responsive to the information. So again, status correction ascertains your political legal disposition, your limited commercial capacity, and your genetic reference as it relates to nationality.
Status correction ascertains to your political legal disposition. Ascertain. He's just throwing out words that he thinks are less common. Ascertains. Status correction ascertains too. Ascertain means to find out for certain. Okay, no, you're using this all wrong. You're just throwing words out there completely out of their context, but simply because you think that most people don't recognize the word and won't know what it means. Then you're crashing others together. Political legal disposition. Yeah. Prison babble.
There are a host of things that can take place under our construct. I can only speak for us when I say this. So when we say political legal disposition. Hello?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yes, hello? Okay.
Yeah, I'm clear about the phone.
It's just some of the noise pollution in the background.
I want, okay, now that you're giving clarity.
Okay, did y'all get that? Clear as mud? Did y'all get that? Clear as mud. That's the idea. Next, he goes on to explain status correction for real estate and how that applies. And all I can say is hold on to your butts. We're going to unravel this Gordian knot if you can.
Well, I'll tell you this. When a person is thinking about the acquisition of a property, there are a host of ways to approach getting a property. One of which can be to properly securitize the property, have a plan to properly securitize your property via what's called a perfected claim. Earlier, Brother Lawan was talking about a conditional interest. How a debtor can only conditionally own. That you will find in the UCC code 9-105 in parentheses D. That a debtor can only conditionally own. He said first in time, first in line. This is when one applies a specific form of lien, okay, called a perfected claim, that therefore renders the property reminiscent to that of the way a country owns a property called a allodial title, but on common law search, when an individual owns a property free of encumbrances, in light of their perfected claim, it renders that property a crown. Who wears a crown? A king or a queen wears a crown. Okay, that's where the whole concept of sovereignty comes from with us.
What the hell does that have to do with a king and a queen wear a crown, and thus that is why we establish our concept of sovereignty among us. What the hell does that have to do with anything? He saw the word, he found a way to interject the word crown, and it says, well, that is why we say that, well, who wears a crown, a king or a queen? Well, can't you see? Obviously, I've explained it to you with clarity.
A country owns a property called a allodial title, but on common law search, when an individual owns a property free of encumbrances, in light of their perfected claim, it renders that property a crown. Who wears a crown? A king or a queen wears a crown. Okay, that's where the whole concept of sovereignty comes from with us, or why you see head of the crown prefixed to my name, because that means I own property void of a conditional interest. When you get a status correction, you might say to yourself this might be your business plan or outlook. You might say, Brother Polite, I want to buy some property, but this is the money that I'm dealing with. So we may say, you know what? You might want to get a trust, and you might want to get an insurance policy that you can borrow against. This means you can use insurance to purchase property.
Okay, did you hear that? You can use insurance to purchase property. You might want to set up a trust, and then you can take out a whole life insurance policy, and then you can use that to pay for the real estate.
You might want to get a trust, and you might want to get an insurance policy that you can borrow against. This means you can use insurance to purchase property. Okay, this is all about game planning. Okay, so you're not using liquid. You're not using cash to try to buy everything like most black people think. I just got to save $400,000 or pay $400,000 eventually so I can own my property. No, you can actually have an insurance, a whole life insurance policy. Whole life insurance policies allow you to borrow against the policy. Will you make the whole life insurance a beneficiary of your trust? No, but you will hold the property in trust, because this is one of your primary methodologies that you're going to employ to protect the property.
People, For those of you who may be slow, don't understand, or you hear some Negro running his mouth at you and you don't really understand what he's saying, but it sounds like it could be correct or it just sounds real good because folks today just want to be entertained as opposed to enlightened. Yes, you can borrow against a whole life policy, insurance policy. You certainly can. What he's not telling you is that every insurance company in the world would go bankrupt if all you had to do was call up State Farm or, American General or whatever, take out a whole life insurance policy, say for $1 million, and then call back the next day and say, I want to borrow $500,000 cash against the $1 million life insurance policy I just took out. That's not the way it works. You have to put in a certain amount of cash payments already. There must be a certain amount of cash value built up in your life insurance policy, and that's what you're gonna borrow against. You don't borrow against the policy, you're borrowing against the cash value that you put in. And depending on the insurance company, that could take many years. They couldn't stay in business if it worked the way he is inferring it does, that you just take out a policy. I want to go buy a piece of land. If somebody told you you want to buy a piece of land, oh good, take out a life insurance policy and come back in 5 years. You'd be like, this person's a liar, a con man, an idiot, or all the above. So you just heard what he said. Now I've just explained to you. By the way, well, he's correct. You could use a life insurance policy if you pay in enough money. Wait a minute. I thought he was giving me a strategy around having to have money. No, he's not. Yes, you can do it, but no, it'll be years before you can actually execute what he's talking about. Because he left out the part of, by the way, you have to build up enough cash value in your life insurance policy before you can borrow against it. That's what he's telling you. Amazing. And yes, there were literally people who fell for this and didn't pay it any attention and just let him run off at his damn mouth for years in that New York area, by the way. New York, you got to clean the damn game up.
Nonetheless, what you're going to say is this: I'm going to add my trust on to my whole life insurance policy because there are tax benefits to that. So when you say there's tax benefits to it, what you're doing is creating cash and tax deferrable compensation arrangement plan. All you're saying is you won't have to pay cash in the now, so you'll be allowed to build wealth. Where you're going to get the funds to get the property? You're going to get the funds to get the property via an insurance policy where you're only suffer the consequence of a raise in premium per your policy, so you can get cash value up front to buy property, cash that you didn't have previous.
You heard that? So you can get cash up front. And I just explained to you. You all can go Google this. Those of you who work in insurance, you know this is right. You know he's full of garbage. He just told you. So you can get cash up front. He's using those words that he knows people are looking for there. And in reality, you can't do that.
Where you're going to get the funds to get the property? You're going to get the funds to get the property via an insurance policy where you only suffer the consequence of a raise in premium per your policy, so you can get cash value up front to buy property, cash that you didn't have previous. Why do you need the status correction or the UCC 1 financing statement? Because you might want to have a conversation between at least 2 companies and yourself, or yourself and the company. Why? Because you may want to have your trust be in private, so to speak, and you may have, let's say, an LLC, and you may want one of your companies to establish a lien on the other company, so whatever asset is beholding to the one in public, the private automatically has a claim to it.
He just said you want to set up one legal entity to put a lien on your property. As if that's gonna prevent the property from being taken. Especially once they find out that you're the lien holder on your own property. oh, well, if I've already put a lien on my property first, that will prevent anyone else from being able to take it. Folks, that's like you going to go finance a car. You put a lien on the car yourself and say this will keep it from getting repossessed. Do you hear this nonsense? Here, put a lien on your own property and that'll prevent anybody else from being able to take it. And there were ignoramuses out there who really fell for this. Crazy.
First in time, first in line, so no one can ever repossess your property. So you put a lien on your own property by having two different, because you may want to have your trust be in private, so to speak, and you may have, let's say, an LLC, and you may want one of your companies to establish a lien on the other company, so whatever asset is beholding to the one in public, the private automatically has a claim to it. First in time, first in line, so no one can ever repossess your property. So you put a lien on your own property by having two different companies, one that functions in the public and one that functions in the private. Where does this conversation take place? This conversation will take place on the UCC1 financing statement. Who is the debtor and who is the creditor? One will be beholden to the other. Why are you using the financing statement? Why are you using the UCC? Because the UCC is the code that governs secure transactions. You're securitizing your property.
Not the way. This is not securitizing a property, people. This is not how you securitize a property. First of all, he's using that phrase in a completely fictional, concocted way. Yeah, some of these folks here, they come from scam cultures. They come from scamming cultures, and this is what you end up with. This is what you end up with.
And you're trying to avoid the whole legal process that most Negroes go through who have not been educated in this manner. Because I told you earlier before that the paper, right, is the court. Paper is synonymous with court. We're talking law. And the courtroom is where you discuss the paper. If you go about using the UCC the right way, we're not talking about conveying your racial animus. We're not talking about complaining about anything that took place in slavery. We're talking about the rules of engagement when it comes to CC the right way. We're not talking about conveying your racial animus. We're not talking about complaining about anything that took place in slavery. We're talking about the rules of engagement when it comes to commerce. If you do these things the right way, then you'll come to terms with the fact that
if you do these things the right way. Oh, so in other words, if you buy one of these scam courses of his, and if you try it, and if it predictably doesn't work, then he's gonna tell you that you did it the wrong way. That if you did this catacomb labyrinth of instructions he's giving you, if you do this the right way, then it would work. Meanwhile, he can't show you where he's done it himself and gotten it to work.
be able to alleviate having to go to court when there's a discrepancy, because you're doing things on instruments that are held up internationally anywhere. This has nothing to do with no pseudoscience or pseudo-legality. Brother Lawan, you can...
This is all pseudoscience, and this isn't even pseudoscience or pseudo-legality. This is just fiction. We're beyond science fiction. Now we're in the science fantasy.
Add on. I don't want to go too long.
You've gone on long enough there. You really have.
Oh. Do this shit for judge, fuck a judge, fuck a jury, fuck a jail, fuck a charge. So fresh and so clean in my red, black, and green. Malcolm X, Marcus Garvey, bitch, I'm Martin Luther King. It ain't nothing to redeem. Everybody hate niggas, even your own kind too. Everybody ain't with us, so we gotta vet the room. Point out all the coons, deal with the cracker first. Then it's time coming soon. Vote for who? Vote for what? Say the fuck about my face, but vote for any damn body. Bitches, Grandmaster J, get your paper on yourself for this coming confrontation, cause we all under attack. in this wicked ass nation. Better get with Jason Black, he got the useful information. Stay on code as he exposed all the Satan machinations. He ain't talking about shit, he ain't talking reparations. We'll show your ass a riot, those were peaceful demonstrations. All eyes on Bree, cause we all family. That's the way it fucking was, and that's the way it's gonna be. Like, fuck 12, we bout to do this shit for George. Fuck 12, we bout to do this shit for George. Fuck 12, we bout to do this shit for George. Fuck a judge, fuck a jury, fuck a jail, fuck a